All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time of day you are viewing this. We want to encourage you to definitely hit us up and subscribe to this channel so that you can see more and more of this information that we're sharing. It's time to tell the truth. That's the name of this series. And if you know anything about back in the day, I'm old school, there was a show called To Tell the Truth. And different people would stand up, and only the one that was telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth would be the one that remained standing. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that we hear the whole truth, the options that are available, because sometimes we only hear one side of this thing. And for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Rosalind Shaw Belt. Everybody calls me Dr. Roz. I am the CEO of Dream to Life LLC, nonprofit productions and ministry. I'm a wife, musician, and a bunch of other stuff that I've done throughout the years. But in this setting, what is most concerning is that I am a certified wellness coach. Yes, I do have some certifications with Akana and lifestyle consultant, as well as the Flat Belly Lifestyle, where I became a certified wellness coach with our illustrious naturopathic doctor, Dr. Eric Prince. So let's today, we've been talking about diabetes for 2 sessions, and this is our third installment, third and final, regarding this particular subject. But today, and we've covered a lot of things, we've covered all the foods that we should avoid or at least minimize. Last week, we covered a lot of the foods that we should start incorporating as a part of our diet. But today, we're going to talk about stopping the cravings. Because, see, a lot of times, the only reason we can't get past some of the things we're doing is because we crave those things, you know? It's like, oh, man, I just got to have it. I just got to have it. And we don't know why we have to have it. So this time, we're going to get victory over these cravings. So let's get started.
It's the best foods to eat to get rid of type 2 diabetes. If you have type 2 diabetes, it's probably because things that's very high in sugar, and you want to go ahead and eliminate all of that stuff out of your diet. First, we need to figure out how to eliminate the sugar craving. So when it comes to the sugar cravings, go to the fruit, especially berries like strawberry, blueberry, also raspberry. Next is start incorporating more vegetables into your diet. Get foods like this, kale, which is super high in fiber, and it's a superfood with tons of nutrients. Next is going to be some sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes has something called carotene, which is good for your eyes, also for your skin. Plus, help people stay more satiated in their diet because of their high fiber intake.
So, you know, let's start this day off, right? A little eye candy, I'm sure, yeah. But he gives us some of the very things that we need to incorporate as a part of our diet, as a part of our lifestyle. So let's talk about cravings. Cravings. All of us have them at some time or another. We don't always have the same craving. Sometimes we crave sugar. Sometimes we crave something that's salty. Sometimes we crave some junk food, or, you know, matter of fact, why don't you put in and type in the chat or in whatever device, if you're watching us live on Facebook, what's your craving? I dare you to just put it in there, confess it, don't worry about it. You're dealing with it, right? You have a hard time not getting that particular thing and picking it up at the grocery store. What is your craving? Because cravings can sabotage even the best intentions if they're not addressed the right way. So we got to overcome. We're going to overcome. Let's confess that thing. I'm going to overcome my cravings, whether that's sugar, whether that's salt, whether that's junk food, or anything that's not good for you. So we're going to talk about how to do this. We don't want to just talk about the problem. We want to figure it out. So one of the things to overcome craving is to understand the root cause. So you think you just want it. You think you just need it. No, there's a root cause. And cravings, they're not random. They usually mean one of 4 things. They either mean there's a nutrient deficiency in your body. So you're craving something to fulfill that. Like maybe you're low in magnesium, maybe you're low in sodium, Or maybe you're having an emotional trigger. You're stressed, you're bored, you're sad, you're sleepy. I mean, all kind of emotional triggers make us reach inside the refrigerator and get something that we shouldn't get. Or maybe you're having a blood sugar imbalance. Too much sugar earlier, and now you're crashing, and so now you're craving for something else that you shouldn't get. Or maybe it's a habitual pattern because now your body expects to have a certain reward at a certain time. So the first step when a craving hits, here's what I want you to do from this day forward. When a craving hits, I want you to pause and ask yourself, am I really hungry? Or am I tired? Am I stressed? Am I going through an emotional trigger? Am I bored? Or am I dehydrated? So let's talk about these four just for a second before we move on. Those nutrient deficiencies. See, your body sometimes craves certain foods because it's missing key nutrients. For example, we crave chocolate. Hello, all the chocolate lovers, because you might be low in magnesium. You're craving salty food because you might need more electrolytes like sodium, potassium, or magnesium. Or you're craving sugar because you might be low in energy because of poor blood sugar regulation, not because you need sugar. So here's the key. Feed your body what it's really asking for. It's really asking for the minerals. It's really asking for the whole foods. It's really asking for those things, not the unhealthy cravings that actually weaken the body. But what about emotional triggers? Now, I believe many of us have experienced emotional triggers in our lives, but what you grab when you go through that is up to you. Some people smoke. Some people get a joint. Some people get into drugs. But cravings are a coping mechanism for emotions. When you're stressed, you know, if you were a smoker, you probably reached and grabbed a cigarette until it became a habit because of a coping mechanism. Anxiety, sadness, boredom, loneliness. So oftentimes we eat certain foods, especially when it comes to sugar and salt, and that triggers dopamine. Maybe you've heard that term, dopamine. It's a feel-good brain chemical. So when you're stressed or low, your brain says, let's get a quick hit of something. A lot of people get into alcoholism. You know, they become alcoholics because of emotional triggers. Even emotional drama or trauma that is taking place in their lives. Maybe they got a divorce. Maybe they broke up with somebody. So I'm challenging you again. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now that's making me want this? Don't just give in to it and say, I want it. I want some ice cream. I want some candy. I want this. No. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now that's making me want this? Because sometimes a walk, a call to a friend, you know how they do when you have a drug addiction, they give you a person to call, right? That's your person, and it causes you to think about it and they walk you through it. Or even sometimes just taking a deep breath can give you that emotional relief you're really seeking without the junk food. Now, I'm not saying it's this one that you do or that one that you do. I'm just saying, try them all. Try everything that fits your situation. And then the blood sugar imbalances. If you start your day with sugar or even too much refined carbs, it creates a spike in your blood sugar. And then later on, there'll be a crash. And when the blood sugar drops, your body panics and demands fast energy, usually in the form of sugary or salty junk. So here's the key. Focus on steady, slow releasing food. That's the food that has fiber, protein, and healthy fats. So you can avoid the blood sugar roller coaster that triggers your cravings. And then lastly, the habitual patterns. See, sometimes cravings have nothing to do with your physical need, nothing to do with your emotion. It's just a habit. And when you've got a habit, your brain is wired over time. In other words, I have people in my family that They were raised to have dessert with their dinner. It's the way they were raised. So automatically, they feel like they must have a dessert because they just had dinner. Or some people, when they're watching TV, they feel like you got to have a snack while you're watching. I mean, that's why they do that to us in the movies. You go to the movies where you have to have popcorn, right? Or we know sometimes it's a habit to just always grab something, especially salty, when you're stressed. And then your brain associates those activities or those times with eating certain foods. Even watch this, if your body doesn't actually need them. So we have to break the pattern by swapping the food, changing the environment, or either creating a brand new healthy ritual instead. So when you understand why you crave, you're no longer just fighting it blindly. You're addressing the real cause of the craving, which therefore makes it easier and more permanent to stop the craving. I hope you put it in there. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Let me know, what is your craving? What's that thing that you crave?
Some home remedies to control diabetes. Green tea. This tea is unfermented and hence has high polyphenol content, which has strong antioxidant and hypoglycemic effects. The polyphenol help in controlled release of blood sugars. Cinnamon water. It is an effective way of treating diabetes at home. Drinking cinnamon with warm water or on an empty stomach helps increase the metabolism. Drumstick leaves, the fiber content in them increases the feeling of satisfaction and slows the breakdown of food. Almonds. Eating soaked almonds every day in the morning also helps keep diabetes in check. Baby. Overnight soaked baby seeds are considered a very effective remedy. Tomato juice. Tomato juice with salt and pepper on an empty stomach every morning also helps in controlling diabetes. High fiber vegetables. Vegetables such as broccoli, beans, spinach, peas, and leafy vegetables should definitely be included in one's daily diet. Fiber can help you feel full and satisfied and may help regulate the blood sugar levels. Since people with diabetes are at double the risk for cardiovascular complications, fiber's ability to lower cholesterol and blood pressure levels is a great way to improve heart health. Pulses. Pulses should be considered an important part of the daily diet in diabetic people. The carbs in pulses do not affect the blood like other carb sources. Pulses are a very rich source of protein. Fruits. Aha. Many people believe that diabetic people should not consume fruits as they are sweet in nature. Though that is true, but not for all fruits. Some fruits like mangoes, grapes, and banana contain high sugar and should be avoided. But fruits like papaya, pear, apple, guava, orange are high in fiber and can be consumed.
So let's incorporate all these things into our diet and let's overcome the cravings. See, we got to stop the cravings before they stop you guys. So here's number two, to overcome cravings. To overcome cravings, what are we going to do? We're going to balance our meals. Cravings usually hit harder when your meals are unbalanced. Every single meal that we have should have some fiber, protein, healthy fats, and complex carbs. And when your blood sugar is steady, cravings will weaken. So let's get some fiber. Let's look at that plate and see if we have something with fiber, vegetables, fruit, chia seeds, things like that that are high in fiber. And you can always Google the best fruits, the best vegetables to high in fiber. It's easy to get this information. Plant-based protein or clean animal protein. Healthy fats like avocado, olive oil, depending on what your blood type is, determines really which ones you can have. And then complex carbs like sweet potatoes, like quinoa. See, balancing your meals means giving your body what it needs to feel full, energized, and stable without causing the blood sugar crashes or the craving. So here's a simple formula. We're going to follow this balanced plate formula. We said what? At every meal, we're going to include fiber. What does that fiber do? Helps you feel full. It supports your digestion, and it slows down your sugar absorption. Things like leafy greens, broccoli, berries, chia seeds, beans. Every day, every time we eat, something green ought to be on that plate. Number two, protein. What it does, it builds and repairs tissue. It stabilizes your blood sugar. It reduces your cravings. And people tend to think that the only way you can get protein is by eating a steak or eating some meat. Yeah, it does give you protein, but it's not the only way to get protein. Even with our company, we have a protein powder. We have things that have natural-based protein. And then it's, of course, lentils and tofu and chickpeas and tempeh and quinoa and clean fish or poultry if it's not plant-based. Number three, healthy fats. What do? They support the brain health. They balance our hormones. They keep us satisfied longer. See, when you support your brain health, guess what you're doing? You're moving further and further away from dementia and Alzheimer. Things like avocados, like olive oil, like nuts and seeds and coconut oil. And then number four on that plate should be complex carbohydrates because they give long-lasting energy without spiking the blood sugar. Things like sweet potatoes, brown rice, oats, quinoa, and squash. So we're going to stop the cravings. This is a bonus. Here's a bonus for you. Drink water with your meal. Not sugary drinks. Watch the sauces, because many of those sauces, many of them are full of sugar or processed fats. And put color. Go for the color. The more natural color variety, the more nutrients you have on your plate. So drink water. Be careful about the sauces. Many of them are full of sugar. And then put the color. Here's what your plate should look like. Half a plate of veggies and fiber-rich foods. A fourth of a plate of protein and a fourth of a plate of complex carbs. And then add those healthy fats on top or mixed in. I promise you, if you fill your plate with more veggies and fiber-rich foods and less, just a small piece of that, if you're still eating meat, a smaller portion of meat. But think about what our plates look like or have looked like. At one time, it was a whole lot of meat and very little veggies and fiber-rich foods. We have young people today. That's what they want. They want the chicken nuggets. They want the fried chicken. They want everything else on that plate and don't want any broccoli or any spinach or anything that's green. So thereby, they're moving themselves in a position where they won't outlive many of us.
Top 25 foods for diabetics. We're going to move fast and go rapid fire here. Number one, apples. In the fruit category, it may seem like apples are very high sugar, but they're so low glycemic index, they're really not a bad fruit. Not to mention the antioxidant profile with things like quercetin in them actually helps combat some of the negative issues that you encounter
encounter with high glucose. So for diabetics, it's one of the better fruits that you can consume. The number 2 food, chia seeds. One, they digest very slow and they create a gel within the stomach. Okay, when they create this gel, that slows down the carbohydrate absorption, lowering that glucose curve a little bit. Additionally, when they ferment, they create butyrate. Now, what does that mean? Butyrate is a byproduct of our gut bacteria breaking down fiber. But this butyrate sends a signal to help us metabolize glucose better. So in the short term, it helps, and in the long term. The next one, number 3, is red meat, which a lot of people would combat. But the thing about red meat, it contains all the nutrition that you need. So the reason that I mentioned that is you're getting your vitamins from red meat. So you don't have to be looking elsewhere, going over to fortified sugary cereals and things like that. So although it sounds confusing, in an indirect way, red meat provides you with the nutrition you need, so you don't have to look elsewhere. But additionally, protein in general is one of the best things that you can consume when it comes down to modulating your glucose and combating insulin resistance. Number 4 is macadamia nuts. And at first you think, oh, these are super caloric, this can't be good. But first of all, as far as nuts are concerned, they're like the lowest carb nut you're really going to find. There's some obscure ones out there. But they also contain very specific fats. Okay, these are called monounsaturated fats, and in this case, omega-7s and omega-9s. And the research is very, very strong, suggesting that they help insulin sensitivity, which means they help the cell become more sensitive to receiving a signal from the pancreas, thereby making it so that you can control your glucose that much easier.
Now, understanding as he's talking, a lot of us have already too much omega-7, so then maybe macadamia nuts wouldn't be for you. And so many of us overindulge even when it comes to our meats. So we got to find our protein. See, but if you follow that balanced plate, even if you're eating a steak, if you're not eating that whole T-bone or that whole ribeye, you know, come on now, you all know what I'm talking about. How about if you cut that in a fourth if you're still a meat eater and you ate less of that because you had so many vegetables and so much fiber and so many other things on your plate? That's what we're talking about. So let's overcome these cravings. Swap. Don't starve yourself, but swap. Just try to resist the craving with willpower alone. Sometimes that just backfires. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Many of us have tried, I'm not gonna do it, I'm not gonna do it. And you're thinking about it the whole time. And you're sending up enzymes all throughout your body because you still want it. Instead, swap it. Swap the bad craving for a healthier version. Begin to research a better version. You're craving sugar. Well, eat berries, use dates, or a banana with almond butter. There's a restaurant here in Houston, and it's called Sinful Bakery. If you're in the Houston market, look it up. Man, they have some of the best sweets, and they're not using sugar. Craving salt, try roasted seaweed snacks or olives or lightly salted nuts, things that are natural. You're craving a crunch. I remember I was going through a detox once, and I wanted a cracker. Oh my God, I could have tore the house up, but I had taken all the stuff out. But my coach told me, you're wanting something crunchy. And they had me just to go and get a piece of celery. As soon as I crunched it a couple of times, the craving was gone. But here are things like cucumber slices, carrots, or baked veggie chips. Just give your body a healthier yes instead of a harsh no. So some of the cravings, before they stop you, we can swap. For soda and sweet tea, swap it. Sparkling water with lemon or fruit. White bread. How about Ezekiel bread? Or sprouted grain bread? You love potato chips? How about baked veggie chips? Or maybe air popcorn? Are you an ice cream lover? Come on, you can make your own frozen banana, nice cream, or coconut milk yogurt. Oh, the candy bars, yes, when you go through the grocery store line to that, the checkout lane, right? Then get what? Medjool dates stuffed with almond butter. That's an alternative. Store-bought salad dressing, how about making your own? Olive oil plus lemon or tahini dressing. Instead of white rice, let's try quinoa or let's try cauliflower rice. Instead of those sugary cereals with all those colors that are starting to be banned in our country, how about oatmeal with adding your own berries and your own nuts? Instead of pancakes with syrup, come on, let's look up some protein pancakes with mashed banana or almond butter. I even fixed some pancakes once with yams. Yep, made the yams and then made the pancake and put it right there on the skillet. It was excellent. Instead of fried chicken, go ahead, swap it with baked or air fried cauliflower or tofu nuggets. There's a swap for everything, guys. Milk chocolate. Let's go to 70% plus dark chocolate or cacao nibs. Instead of creamy pasta sauces, avocado pesto or tomato-based sauce. Instead of mayonnaise, mashed avocado or hummus. Instead of ranch dip, Greek yogurt with herbs or plant-based yogurt dip. I just recently made a plant-based ranch. Yep, you can do it. Barbecue sauce. It's so sugary. But swap it with homemade sauces with dates or balsamic vinegar and even white flour. Let's flip it to almond flour or oat flour or whole wheat. And instead of French fries, how about the baked sweet potato wedges?
Number 5, let's jump over to grains for a second. Quinoa. In the world of grains, I would say quinoa is probably the best. Why? Because it's the highest protein, and protein is going to be king, okay? But additionally, it has all the amino acids that you need, so it's essentially a complete protein. So in the world of getting grains in, if you absolutely must, quinoa is going to take the cake. Number 6 is broccoli. And broccoli is more than just a fibrous vegetable. Sure, that's great, but it contains something called sulforaphane. Okay, sulforaphane we've seen in lots of research to be very, very powerful when it comes down to insulin sensitivity. There's also something called glucosinolates that are in broccoli sprouts. Now, these can help combat the negative effects of high glucose. So if you're further down the line of having diabetes, eating some broccoli sprouts now and then might be a really good thing. Jumping back to fruit, now let's look at raspberries. Okay, raspberries are probably my favorite fruit. Super low carbohydrate to begin with, very high fiber, but they contain tannins that slow down carb absorption, and they actually stop the enzyme that is involved with breaking down carbs. So if you stop the breakdown of carbs, they pass through your system without absorbing into the glucose or absorbing as glucose into the bloodstream as much. Number 8 is a beverage. Let's talk green tea for a second. Okay, sure, green tea is great because there's no calories in it, but it's the antioxidants in green tea, the EGCG, that are so powerful. Okay, it helps out once again with that insulin sensitivity. So a very powerful thing that you consume that not only gives you an energy boost and a mental boost, but helps your glucose regulation as well. Then number 9 is another drink, black coffee. Now, depending what you put in that coffee, that's a whole different story. But straight up coffee itself is actually quite good, and it catches a bad rap because caffeine can spike your glucose. But it spikes your glucose only because it lets the glucose that's stored in your muscles go into your bloodstream to be used as energy. So even if your glucose goes up, it's going to come back down and you're right back at square one. You're not getting yourself in a worse situation generally. And we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. If you have caffeine, caffeine gives you energy. Energy makes you move. Movement sucks up glucose. It's probably a win. But studies have seen that when you take a look at decaf coffee, the effects on diabetes, the effects on insulin resistance are profound. So it's the polyphenols, the antioxidants that are in coffee that we're really interested in. The caffeine is just sort of a moot point. Number 10, avocados. And it all comes down to the monounsaturated fats once again. Very similar to the macadamia nuts, except a little bit more fiber with an avocado.
And one of the things that I'm loving is that we actually promote a mushroom coffee. So there you go. It becomes natural. So how are we going to overcome these cravings? Because we don't want the cravings to stop us. We want to stop the cravings. So here's number 4, to overcome your cravings. And I hope that you recognize what your cravings are. Hydrate first. Because dehydration, didn't we say that? Often feels like a craving. I challenge you. I double dog dare you to drink a full glass of water the next time you have a craving. And then wait 10 minutes. You might be shocked to find out the craving disappears. Why? Why does that happen? Because cravings are just thirst in disguise. Your body doesn't always tell you the difference between hunger and dehydration. So when you think you're craving sugar or salty snacks, your body may just be asking you for some water. So try it. Next time a craving hits, drink a full glass of water, wait 10 to 15 minutes, and then let's see what happens. You might be surprised how often that craving fades away. Number 2, Water helps to stabilize your blood sugar. So when you're dehydrated, your body can have a harder time regulating blood sugar. And unstable blood sugar equals stronger cravings. So drinking water keeps things balanced and helps you feel more in control. So you need to have water sitting next to you at your desk, water in the kitchen, water in the living room, water while you're watching television, right? Water, water, water. Number 3, water fills you up. That's why when you go to the restaurant, what do they bring you first? They ask you, what do you want to drink? What do you ask for? Ask for water. You may drink something else, but ask for some water because the water fills you up. Drinking water before or during meals helps you feel fuller sooner. So you're less likely to overeat or reach for junk after. But you got to tell your brain to obey your gut. Your brain says you're full. When your brain says you're full, when your gut says you're full, obey. Stop overriding because your mama told you to eat all that food on your plate. Number 4, it helps your brain reset. See, a lot of times cravings are happening when we talked about it, the triggers. You're bored, you're tired, you're emotionally triggered. So sipping water gives you a pause. It interrupts that habit loop and gives your brain time to reevaluate what it really needs. So here's a quick tip. You don't like water? Put some flavor in it. Add some lemon to it, some mint, some berries. I love watermelon water, yeah, to make it more enjoyable. And it may help satisfy your desire for something extra without turning to snacks.
Number 11, and I have some trepidation about saying this because I don't want to condone just going out and eating buckets of rice, but brown rice is not all that bad. It's mainly because the husk has a high amount of magnesium, and magnesium directly contributes to the positive effects of our pancreatic beta cells. So basically allowing our pancreas to produce insulin properly, we need magnesium. Now, I think there's better lower carb ways to get magnesium, but if you must have some rice, go for the brown rice. Number 12 is lentils. I'm a big lentil guy. I like Mediterranean style diets to begin with, and a lot of the research shows that lentils are very low glycemic, but they're also somewhat of a resistant starch, which means that they ferment a little bit in our gut, and they don't contribute to high levels of glucose nearly as much as other grain legumes, things like that. Number 13 is a wild card because it's oats, but I don't want you to eat those oats hot. I want you to be a weirdo and cool down your oats. If you cool down your oats, they turn into a resistant starch, which, just like lentils, it means that they break down slower. They actually ferment in the gut rather than just directly contributing to glucose. So if you can handle it, if you want to have oatmeal in the morning, just try it cool. Or add some cool milk and let it cool down so it's at least warm and not hot. The temperature really does make a difference when it comes down to starches. Number 14 is salmon. And try to go for sockeye salmon. The darker the red, the better, because it has more astaxanthin. So salmon is great because of the omega-3s. Sure, that's going to help us out with membrane fluidity. That's going to help the insulin signaling. But the astaxanthin, which is what gives it that pink pigment, is a powerful antioxidant that's very, very good at controlling some of the negative effects from glucose. So load up on the salmon. Number 15 is probably the most secret, sneaky, awesome diabetic food, and that's okra. Okay, not only is okra going to be a high fiber content vegetable, but also has a high amount of what are called polysaccharides, which means it's very fermentable. It slows down the digestion, and it breaks down slow in the gut and feeds the gut bacteria. There's something in it called rhamnogalactonuron, which is a specific saccharide that breaks down and has anti-diabetic effects. So it has been demonstrated in multiple bodies of research that okra just has unique properties when it comes down to insulin resistance, overall insulin management within the body. But the other interesting side note about okra is it has an interesting ability to inhibit the enzymes involved in carb breakdown, similar to raspberries with amylase inhibition, except with okra, it's working upon multiple different angles. So we have sort of a 3 or 4-pronged approach in which okra can lower glucose and be a very powerful anti-diabetes food.
Who would have thought, guys? I mean, remember our grandparents and great-grandparents? Man, I remember them eating okra and greens, and they grew all this stuff in the backyard, right? So we've got to overcome these cravings. Let's try this. Let's try this. Use the 10-minute rule. When the craving hits, tell yourself, I'm going to wait 10 minutes, and if I still want it, then I'm going to make a healthier choice. Don't be just so quick to move just because the craving hit. Because distraction plus time equals craving fades. Use that 10 minutes. Use that 10 minutes to do something else, like walk, Call a friend. You might need to call a friend. Stretch. Clean something. Anything else to break the focus off of the craving.
Number 16 is kimchi. Any kind of fermented food is going to be good for the gut. It's going to break down slowly, and it's going to provide you with the nutrition that your gut needs to handle carbs better. Number 17 is kefir. Some people call it kefir. I've heard that it's properly pronounced kefir. Either way, if you look at the research with kefir, it's interesting. Non-probiotic versions of kefir don't have any effect on glucose, but probiotic enriched or regular probiotic fermented versions of kefir do have a positive effect, which tells us that it's not the food itself, it's the fermentation process. So the longer that it's been fermented, the more cultured, the more probiotic rich the kefir, the better it is for diabetes. Number 18 is eggs, and not just because there's a bunch of protein. I mean, obviously that's a huge thing, but eggs are very nutritious and they have the B vitamins that we need to help support carbohydrate breakdown. Okay, so they're going to provide us with what we need to metabolize carbs properly. Plus, if you're further along with diabetes and you're dealing with eye issues or diabetic neuropathy or retinopathy, well, then you need to be paying attention to those kinds of things. And eggs contain lutein and zeaxanthin, which are very, very good for the eyes. So if you're further along, you might want to add more eggs into your diet. Number 19, I have trepidation saying this one as well because I'm not a big kale fan, but I have to acknowledge research where research lies, okay? Kale is rich in what is called kaempferol, okay, which is a specific sort of antioxidant flavonoid that seems to have very interesting effects on insulin sensitivity. Not to mention the caloric density, not to mention the fiber. It's probably something to add in every now and then, or maybe put them in the oven and make some kale chips. Number 20 is spinach, but not raw spinach. Cook it. Okay, spinach is very high in oxalates, and these are anti-nutrients that can inhibit the absorption of other minerals and nutrients. But if we cook spinach, it breaks those down. It makes it easier to digest. What's unique about spinach is it's very rich in nitrates. Okay, nitrates are going to help what's called vasodilation. This is where your blood vessels expand and you get more blood flow. More blood flow means more glucose getting delivered to the cells and to the tissue so that it's not in your bloodstream. You want more blood flow. So spinach with your eggs in the morning might be perfect.
Wow. Fantastic, fantastic. So we're stopping these cravings. We're healing our gut, right? So another way to overcome cravings is literally to heal your gut. Unhealthy gut bacteria literally creates cravings to keep themselves alive. The cravings want to stay alive. They're little gut busters that are there wanting to take control, and basically they are taking control. You know, that's why you need these fermented foods like he was talking about. Others are sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, prebiotics, asparagus, garlic, and onions. Starve that bad bacteria, and your cravings will lessen naturally. In simple terms, when you crave sugary, salty, processed foods, it's really not you craving it. It's those gut busters. It's those people inside your gut that are controlling what you do. Yes, they're hijacking you. They're taking control. They're running the show. They're telling you what you want and what you got to have. That bad bacteria. Every time you give in, you're feeding the enemy. So you should never, 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 never feed the enemy with sugary processed foods. And I tell you, if you think about that, you're not in control. You're in other words, you're a slave. So ignore your gut health. Your gut is where cravings begin or end. So never, never ignore your gut health. Never underestimate the power of just one bite. Okay, I haven't been doing it in a while, so I'll just give me one bite. You know, I tell you, nobody can eat just one Lay's potato chip. No, right? Because you want more than one. And instead, always starve the bad bacteria by eating fiber-rich plant-based foods. Always flood your body with good bacteria. Always, always, always drink lots of water. Always strengthen your gut lining with foods like bone broth or vegan alternatives. But feed the good, starve the bad, and your cravings will follow your choices.
Number 21, flax seeds. Not flax oil. Flax oil does not give us the benefit here. Flax seeds, we want the fiber benefit. Flax has unique types of fiber in it that specifically feed our microbiome very well. So it's one of those things where I really do try to have 1 to 2 tablespoons of flax per day, whether I'm putting it in a smoothie, putting it in oatmeal, putting it in Greek yogurt, anything like that. Number 22 is apple cider vinegar. Not really a food, but apple cider vinegar can be added anywhere, added to your water, added to whatever, doesn't matter. And the thing with apple cider vinegar is it is also an enzyme inhibitor. So it slows down carb breakdown, but it also activates what's called AMPK. Simple terms, what this does is it helps our body tap into our stored fuel a little bit easier. So apple cider vinegar, either before or after a meal, works very, very well. Number 23 is turmeric. Turmeric has anti-inflammatory effects. If we have an anti-inflammatory effect, this reduces the inflammation, or the sort of static, I like to call it, in the bloodstream, making it so that the signal from the pancreas, from insulin, can reach the cell better because there's less noise and static in the way. Number 24 is cumin. Now, cumin is interesting because there's newer research. We don't really know the mechanism, but cumin seems to combat advanced glycation end products, AGEs, or when our glucose is so high for a long period of time, it starts to sort of cook proteins. It reacts with proteins and kind of caramelizes them and creates these compounds known as advanced glycation end products. These are toxic compounds that we need to get rid of. Turns out that cumin helps fight these AGEs. So for whatever reason, it might be a good thing to add in. And finally, number 25, high in protein, high in probiotics, and delicious, is going to be unsweetened Greek yogurt. You can add some sweetener, add a little bit of monk fruit, add a little bit of stevia, add a little bit of vanilla extract, and it makes for a great dessert if you have diabetes or high insulin resistance. You're getting your protein in, you're getting your probiotics, you're low calorie and low carb.
All right, so we're moving along. We're at number 7 of how to overcome these cravings, because we want to stop the cravings because we don't want them to stop us. Fix your sleep. Now y'all know you're not getting enough sleep. Oh, I'm preaching to the choir, I'm preaching to myself. We have poor sleep habits that equals stronger cravings, especially when it comes to sugar. So let's aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. That varies depending on what you're doing. I get it. But let's aim for it, because a tired brain demands quick energy. And so then we grab the wrong thing, something sugary, salty, or just some junk food. Because whether you know it or not, the lack of sleep messes up your hunger hormones. Yeah, there's a hunger hormone. Ghrelin goes up when you're tired, making you feel more hungry even if you don't need food. Leptin, that's your fullness hormone, goes down so you don't feel satisfied even after you're eating. So therefore, you crave more food, especially fast, high-calorie foods like sugar and carbs. That's why we get 3 for 1. You know, that's why they advertise everything that's going to cause us not to get full. They put it all out there and make it easy to get. They make it inexpensive to get. 5 for $1, 5, you get 6 wings for $5, all this kind of stuff that we crave for, that is less expensive, but doesn't fill us up. Sleep deprivation increases our cravings for sugar and junk. Your tired brain needs more energy. Sugar, refined carbs. Some of us started this, we were in college because we were up all night cramming for a test. So what do? You grab one of these energy drinks to give you a spike. Late night sugar binges, snack attacks, poor food choices. I'm a minister, and in the body of Christ, this is what we do. We, minister, then the first thing we do is we go to Denny's or IHOP or something, late night eating. All these things are causing, and then don't get enough sleep. And poor sleep raises your stress hormone, cortisol. Higher cortisol equals more cravings, more fat storage, especially belly fat, and more blood sugar crashes. It's just a vicious cycle. Vicious cycle. Tired, stressed, crave junk, feel worse, sleep worse. And then number 4, good sleep resets the body, because that's the way God made our body. He designed our bodies to be able to reset when we go to sleep at night and get the balancing of what we need. And our blood sugar stabilizes and our body craves real nourishment, not junk. Because let me tell you something, your body knows what it needs. But we've been so habitually doing some of the wrong things, then all of a sudden it agrees with what we do. So in plain English, good sleep equals good cravings, bad sleep equals bad cravings. And number 8, to overcome your cravings, plan ahead. If you know certain times or places trigger cravings, like after work, like late at night when watching TV. Then pre-plan your healthy swaps before you get there, before you get hit with it. You know you're fixing to stay up late, then make sure you got something right there, some good nuts for you to nibble on. You know you're driving, you want something while you drive, then you carry it with you, fix it up and already have it with you. Sit in front of the television, get you a healthy snack. Common times that trigger cravings is late at night, especially after 8, 9 p.m. because your body's tired, your brain wants comfort food. Mid-afternoon, there's sometimes a natural dip in energy. Your blood sugar drops, especially after a stressful day. Oh my God, many times we're stressed out. We want the wrong thing. It makes your brain beg for, I need a reward, feed me. And then right after our meals, yeah, like I told you, because we've been accustomed to getting something sweet. And then when you're bored or emotional, those are trigger cravings. And then certain places trigger those cravings. Sitting in front of the television, get a craving while you're driving, especially when you pass up those fast food places. I tell you guys, my car used to just guide right on over there to McDonald's, right? When I get in the car, it's your mind says this is what you should have while you're driving. When you're at work in the break room and you see the vending machines, that's you're taking a break, social snacking, because it's available, not because you're hungry. Parties, oh my God, that peer pressure, the weddings, the food that they have there, the social gatherings, it's just an automatic. Some of us, you just can't go because you know you're going to get it. And then grocery stores, they are designed to get us, especially certain aisles. I told you that Temptation Alley. You know what Temptation Alley is? That's that line you stand in on your way to the checkout. Nothing good is in Temptation Alley. Nothing. Okay? The kids see it. It's low. That's what they designed it to be. It's low so they can even reach for it. And you tell them, you hitting their hand saying, we're not going to get that. But that's Temptation Alley. And it's colorful. The packaging is right. And these companies paid a lot of money to get their product on the out of the aisle, the front thing that you see before you even walk down the aisle, and they pay extra money to be in Temptation Alley. So why does this matter? Because your brain builds habits. If you often eat popcorn while watching TV, guess what your brain's gonna say? Watching TV, get some popcorn. Environment cues behavior. Your surroundings nudge you silently towards the cravings without you even realizing it. I'm here to tell you the truth so you can recognize what's going on. So the simple solution is change the environment or the pattern. Drink some water before you sit down to watch TV. Put those snacks that are visible, those healthy snacks, and put the junk, hide it somewhere. Throw it in the trash, get rid of it. Take a different route home to avoid all those fast food triggers, if that's your weakness, and then plan a healthy snack for the afternoon dip instead of grabbing anything. Our number 9, to avoid cravings, be kind to yourself. Stop beating yourself up. You're a work in progress, which means you get there a little at a time. I'm not expecting this to happen overnight, but come on, be kind to yourself, because the cravings don't make you weak. They make you human. And if you mess up, don't beat yourself up, just get up. It's like falling off the horse. Just because you fell off. When you started riding a bicycle for the first time, you fell off, and your mama told you, your daddy told you, your brother, whoever taught you, get back on. If you fall off the horse, just recommit at the next meal. No guilt required. Number 10, to overcome cravings. This is our last one. To overcome our cravings, change the environment, change the craving. Because your cravings are often triggered by what you see, what you smell, or even associate with certain environments. So don't keep junk food in the house. Out of sight, out of mind. Change your scenery. Step outside, go into a different room, take a short drive, and create a craving-free zone, right? Where you only keep nourishing options visible. Environment wins over willpower almost every single time. Set your surroundings up for your success, because you're not craving food, you're craving freedom. Feed your future, not your feelings. You're not craving food, you're craving freedom. Feed your future, not your feelings. So we suggest that you start, because of these cravings, you need to detoxify your bloodstream. And one of the ways to do that is our bitters. Bitters is a powerful 4-day detox. Ask somebody, the person that loves you enough for you to watch this video, for you to get a link to this video, or maybe you just stumbled across them and whether you know it or not, it wasn't an accident. Ask them about the 4-day bitters. How does it work? Because it will help you boost your digestion, regulate your appetite, support your liver detoxification, eliminate the toxins, the fat-soluble toxins, help to alkalize the body, and help to improve your gut. And then maybe you can move forward at some point to a 7-day or 21-day raw cleanse. And it's so simple. 4 days, you do a detox, you boil water, 40 ounces, drop the tea bag in there, drink 8 ounces a day, and then follow a little meal plan, a regular meal plan. You can still eat, but stay clear of the sugar and the refined carbs with your diet for those 4 days, and watch what's going to happen. Watch the reset that takes place in your body. Watch the cycle that begins to break, and listen to your body again and get a new relationship with food and with your energy. Well, that's it for today. So guess what? We're going to beat these cravings. Oh my God. We're on our way to a brand new place in our lives. We'll see you next time in our next session. Have a great day.